Welcome, horrible people, to the Horrorble Opinions podcast, where today we're gonna slide right into some bodies. As always, I'm your horrible host, Kenny.
I'm Daniel.
I'm one of the tongues, Ryan.
Okay, let's jump into bodies. We are attempting to bring it back, some pre-watch thoughts. So we had some questions we wanted to answer before we watch these movies.
You want me to go first?
No, not this time. Do I think I will like this movie? Yes. I heard a lot of good things, and it looked fun, and it had a fun cast, so I was pretty excited for it. Do I think the IMDb rating will be accurate? For most people, probably. For me, I would probably rate it higher than the 6.3 out of 10.
It got a 6.3?
Yeah, it gave it a 6.3. My gut reaction, just from the buzz I'd been hearing, I was going to give it higher. It looked fun.
That's what I wrote down, is that it looks fun.
It looked fun. Do I think the trailer accurately portrays what the movie will be? Now, I put that question in there just from Barbarian, because, that kind of really threw us off. I don't think this movie's lying about what it is, though.
Well, the movie is lying about what it is, but the trailer is not.
Yes, it's a whodunit. I bet Pete Davidson dies.
Oh.
Remember that. Which of us, if any, won't like this movie? I said all of us will like this movie. And then my random surprise question was off of Ryan's list of 20. What musical does this remind you of? And I said Heathers the musical. And I felt it worked. Ryan, you want to do yours next? Your pre-watch thoughts?
You thought you would like this movie. Watching the trailer, I wasn't sure. We're coming off of Cthulhu, Hand of the Relic.
Okay, The Last Lovecraft.
Oh,
Relic
sure.
of Cthulhu.
Yes, and that movie also claimed to be a comedy. And
Claimed.
horror, comedy, they both rely a lot on timing. And getting both of those things right in a movie, it's difficult. I was thinking of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None from the trailer.
Sure.
Isolated location, a storm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, wait, is this just a live action Among Us? This was not going to be a split decision on who likes it, who doesn't. Either we were all going to like this movie or we were all going to go meh at this movie. My cool random question was, based on the title alone, which band or artist would I pick to make a soundtrack for this movie? Bodies. I was thinking you go over the top and you resurrect Whitney Houston and you bring her back and you have her make an entire soundtrack for this movie, like Queen did for Highlander, Whitney Houston could have done for Bodies.
I like that. I also like that we're a particular subset of people that when we refer to an iconic Queen movie soundtrack, we usually go straight to Highlander and not the Flash Gordon movie.
If I'm going to go to another iconic score, it's going to be, Goblin Suspiria.
Well, I mean, that's good. I was just talking, Queen.
Kenny was just talking Queen.
Yeah, when people talk about, the Queen movie soundtrack, it's always Flash Gordon. It's never Highlander. But for us, it's always Highlander.
Who Wants to Live Forever?
I don't think...
It's a kind of magic. Okay, this is going to become the Highlander soundtrack podcast.
I'm here for it. It's just something I've noticed as I've adapted to real life.
It's something I noticed in the past 2 minutes.
All the Queen soundtracks slap. We'll say that Queen could be the answer to that question every time. But I do like Whitney. And I will be watching that Whitney movie in theaters. You can't stop me. Okay?
Okay.
Danime?
What are the questions?
Oh, my lord.
Daniel, okay, here we go. Ready? Do you remember what your special question was?
Yep. Change the title and if it was a porn movie.
Is
that right?
That was for one of them.
Okay, so if you were going to do the porn parody to the title of this movie, what would it be?
I did 2 to be inclusive, okay? So the movie name is Bodies. So I did tits. And then I did dick.
All encompassing.
A little something for everybody.
Yeah, okay.
What did you think this movie was? What did this movie remind you of?
I feel like some of the stuff you said.
Daniel, do you watch movies? Do you read books?
It didn't remind me of jack shit.
Yeah, I'm going to help you out here, buddy. Here's the one question that you need to answer. You knew you were going to like this movie. Tell me why you knew you were going to like this movie.
Because Lee Pace is in it.
And what is Lee Pace wearing in it?
Well, he's shirtless for a bit of it, and he's yummy.
And that's all you needed?
Yeah.
Which one was Lee Pace?
What?
Greg.
Oh, Vet Greg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's not as bad as you not knowing who Skarsgård was, but that's still pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Lee Pace. He was in The Hobbit.
He's also the one who's not Pete Davidson. There's 2 dudes in this whole movie.
There's 3 dudes in the movie.
There's 3.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about how I got confused. I had alternate theories on whether or not who that was gonna be. None of those turned out. This turned out to have one twist, and then everything built out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I called this movie a live action Among Us, and after having watched it, I think I was pretty on the money.
It's Among Us, but the
rule
game
for bodies is Among Us.
It is, but the game bugs out and no one gets selected as an imposter, but you're all still running around thinking there's an imposter, and you turn on each other as if there's an imposter doing things, but really nothing's happening.
That's right. I just can't remember the last time I watched a movie where it did something like that.
We're gonna go right into that right at the start.
Well, the synopsis is that it's Among Us.
I wrote names. Did I write names? Daniel.
I got you. David, Jordan, Emma, B, Greg, Sophie, Alex, and then Max.
So these 20-something, I assume they're out of university at this point. Is that the vibe?
I would say mid-20s, yeah.
They know each other for the most part. They all go to a secluded mansion. It's a hurricane party.
Yeah.
They got their flashlights. I'm pretty sure I saw some walkie-talkies. They got them, and wouldn't you know it, we get there, and there's already some back talk happening.
Tension.
There's some side talk. There's already built up tension. We're not entirely
Some people
sure
aren't
why.
paying attention to the group chat.
People are not
You
responding.
gotta pay attention to the group chat. They're not. They say they are, but they're not, and that's causing problems. I get the vibe that everyone has slept with everyone potentially at this point in this group. And what happens?
Not my boy Greg. Greg is pure as snow.
Pure as snow.
Yeah, we got Greg, who's not one of the friends, and we have
B. Yeah.
We start playing a game called Bodies, 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 and then, wouldn't you know it, one of our characters gets murdered. And it spirals down into a bunch of paranoia where everybody starts accusing everyone else. People start dying. People start killing. And then we get to the end and realize, whoopsie daisy.
Right, so the
Raccoon Pete Davis.
Yeah, so the
Raccoon Pete Davis.
Now, when I saw Pete Davis, I swear
Davis? Davidson.
I knew he was in
Davidson.
the movie. Davidson,
Uh-huh.
Harley.
Yeah.
I knew he was in the movie, but looking, I'm like, is he supposed to be the guy with the 2 raccoon eyes who just looks swelled up?
So
I'm like, did he get stung
He
by a
got punched
bee?
in the eye, but both eyes are fucked up.
That's just his natural look, dog.
He looks like he fucks.
I mean, he claims to.
Yeah, he does. Oh boy, does he.
He claims to, but as we later find out,
He does not.
He does not. At least he's not doing it to Emma. Ooh! When I saw B, I looked at this actress, and I'm looking at her going, I know you. Why do I know you? You look so sweet. Why do I know you? Oh my God, you were in a Borat movie. That's where I know you. Okay. You're looking at me like you have no idea what
He
I'm talking
recognizes her from Borat, but he did not recognize
the new Borat movie?
Yes, she's the.
She plays his
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah. Look, I saw her. Goddamn baby doll. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. So happy. You're in a horror movie? All right. This is going to be fun. You're good.
I just love that this is a horror podcast and you're a host on it and you recognize her from Borat and you did not recognize Bill Skarsgård.
Did not recognize Lee Pace.
Killing me, Smalls. Yeah.
So we open with 2 characters making out for an extended amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
Tongue bathing
Like
vigorously.
right into some big
B
smooching.
and Sophie.
Big smooching.
Big
Oh
smooch.
yeah. So can you tell me what the symbolism for like the theme of this movie for that
So
tongue twister bit of a scene was? What do
well,
you think?
so we're getting right into we open, it's big smooching and it's all wet. And when they're, it's all wet and wild. And because it's so wet and wild, like they won't be able to, talk or anything because it's so wet and wild, just like the hurricane that they're going to be in later. So that's symbolic of the storm that's coming. That's gonna, keep them from, getting out. Plus, if you recall, Sophie, after the smooching and they're all laying there in the grass and stuff, which
She says she loves her.
she says she loves her, and then B's just like, and then it's like, you don't have to say it back. I'm like, oh no.
That's good because she didn't.
She did. And then I just felt awkward right off the bat. Well, okay, so these 2 are together, but how long have they been together? Is one of them going quicker than the other one? Are we going to have some issues with that later? And, well, we do.
And how long were they together? Was it a matter of
6 weeks.
Yep. Which, I mean, depending on the relationship, that could be long enough.
You think that's long enough to learn someone's middle name?
Yeah, because if you're not making fun of their middle name at
It's
that
2
point,
weeks. That's 2 weeks is too early for middle name. That's established.
look, first date, I got to know your middle name, because if it doesn't roll off the tongue, then it's not going to work.
How else are you going to search them on the internet to make sure they don't have a criminal record or something, right?
If your middle name is
Due
if your
diligence.
middle name is like freaking Aardvark or something, I need to know.
I got a theory. So once they get to the house, our characters
Before we get to the house, there's a thing with the window in the car.
set up and payoff.
I don't even know if that was a payoff.
You always have to explain why the car is not going to work.
Yeah.
And you have to set it up in this movie because there is no other
I do have a question about
person
that.
doing things, right?
But we'll
Yeah,
get
what's your
there.
There was payoff.
No, it's later.
There was payoff with the window. Well, before they get there to the house, this soundtrack is gonna bump because it went in like hard with some beats.
And it did. And so when they're first going up to the house, B forgets something in the car and she goes back to get it. And I thought, because she pulls out what looks like a brick, I thought it was going to be a brick of cocaine.
Oh, damn.
That would have been on brand for this movie,
But it turned out to be, what, zucchini bread?
which is better.
They would have preferred it to have been a brick
Yeah.
of cocaine.
They would have liked her more.
But that's not B.
It's not B.
If you're coming to my hurricane party, bring zucchini bread, okay? I'm okay with
If you're
that.
coming to my hurricane party, bring a brick of cocaine.
Now, if there's going to be white powder at my party, it's going to be powdered sugar going on top of the zucchini bread. They sure do like kissing.
I'm here for it.
They sure do like kissing.
So I guess it's setting up that this relationship, at least from one of them, it's really really intense, right? So we got intensity.
Oh yeah, they're very
intensity more than reason.
yeah, like
Emotional. Very emotional. Not a lot of logic and thinking.
Okay, they get inside. We're inside, and everyone who dies is in the pool underwater in the scene when they come in.
that's a good point.
That is a good point. And when I rewatched it, I checked to see like if the order that they came out of the water played into it, but it did not.
It's the order they get slapped in.
Oh.
And we'll tell our 5 listeners what that means about an hour from now.
Yes.
Because this movie,
It's not the order they get slapped in. Because B is
Okay.
hesitant to slap
okay. You are right.
David.
So it is not the direct, it's the order.
That he remembers it.
Okay, so B slaps David. All right. And then David punches Greg.
Yeah.
Yes, but B gets slapped before.
Greg walks away. Greg doesn't hit. The first person to get slapped is Alice, but it's not that direct order, okay? The order starts midway down. So B slaps David. David dies first. David punches Greg. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Cut this.
Whatever you got to do to make this
No,
fit
you're
your narrative.
right.
No,
You're
I was
right.
right.
You're right.
I you know what I did? I confused the only 2 male
You got their
leads
names
in this
backwards?
movie.
How dare you?
No, you're right. Okay, so yeah, B slaps David.
David punches Greg.
Jordan slaps Emma. Sophie slaps Alice.
Wait.
Alice slaps Jordan.
Jordan slaps him.
Jordan slaps B.
I mean, how does that work though? Because Sophie doesn't die.
Neither does Jordan.
No, Jordan
No,
dies.
Jordan dies.
Nobody slaps Sophie.
Right,
Yeah.
Sophie doesn't die. Correct.
But
And so
B does
Sophie-
get slapped.
That's why I thought B was going to die.
Interesting.
They sure do like kissing.
They sure do like kissing.
Look, all I'm saying is
Challenge me.
challenge me. All I'm saying is when Greg came out of the pool last and he said, "I told you guys I have really big lungs," I thought that was going to pay off later. It did not.
I did think maybe showing us them all underwater together. Was this the movie's way of pretend the water is the drug use they're going to go under later in the movie? So their senses are muted. They don't have as good perception about what's going on around them. Noises are muted. They can't hear everything clearly.
And Greg is the last one to come up from the water, right?
Yeah, because he's got really big lungs. He told you.
And he's the last one to understand that something is going on.
He's the last one to like go full paranoid.
No, not just paranoid. He has no idea what's happening. When they basically attack him, he still thinks they're playing the game.
Yeah, Greg's not paranoid. He's straight up being assaulted. Like he was.
He's confused.
Yeah, he.
Up to a point where he realizes these other people,
Yeah.
whatever they're
But
doing.
he's the last one to realize.
They're not playing. Yeah. He's the last one to realize, oh, they're actually trying to hurt me now. He does realize it, though.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's sword.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we don't.
I'm sorry. Scrotum's cat? What are you going with here?
You know when you introduce the shotgun, that's called the thing. Remember?
Krychev's sword.
Schrodinger's sword.
Yes.
It's Conan's parrot. If you show it, it must be
okay.
eaten.
The sword is introduced,
Well, hold on. Before we get to all that,
and therefore the sword must be used later.
before we get
That's okay.
yeah, before we get to all that, like
Kitty has something he really wants to
I gotta
talk
talk
about.
about
What
these
is it?
things.
What
Okay.
are you gonna talk about?
Well,
Yeah.
we don't know why they're all gathering
we're
at
here.
this mansion yet. So we get in there before they even go. I think it's before they even get to the pool. We see all the batteries and shit on the table and whatnot.
Ryan said that earlier.
Right, so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's a fuck ton of batteries
just
right off the bat.
not
Oh, hold on. So I'm like, is it a storm party? Oh, it's like, oh yeah, it's a storm party. Like, that's cool. So that's how hold on. So I know. He said, yeah, but that's how we're taking care of the modern problem of cell phones and being able to call for help.
Yes.
And I like that. That works. Just so you know.
They're giving it lip service.
Yeah, like, okay, this is how we're doing it.
Giving each other lip service.
And then B gives David the zucchini bread.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what the fuck is this?
He's a dick
about it. Not appreciating the zucchini bread. And then who walks out with the bottle of champagne?
Greg.
Yep.
Does he? No.
Greg walks out with the champagne and the sword.
No, he had the sword to open it. I don't know if he's the one who brought the bottle out.
Oh, it was...
Because I don't think...
it was one of the girls.
Greg's bold enough to grab a sword off the wall, but I don't think he's just going to go steal his dad's champagne.
I think it was Alice.
Oh, okay.
I think Alice.
Yeah, and I think at this point in time, we're realizing that these people aren't just 20-somethings in a random mansion. They're rich, spoiled 20-somethings.
They're rich, high-functioning addicts.
Yes. And we're getting there, and we're seeing that. Well, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, like one of them's not responding to the group chat. These were all close friends, but one of them randomly brought the dude Greg, and now Sophie brought B, and nobody knows these other two people.
And they didn't know Sophie was coming.
Right, like this is already causing tension. Whenever Sophie and B walk in, like a couple of the other characters are kind of whispering to each other, like, what is she doing here? Like, were you expecting here? So there's already some tension in this friend group right off the bat. Are you all friends? Like, what's going on here? Someone walks out with the champagne. He's like, you can't just get into my dad's stuff. It's what David's saying. So we're learning this is David's house.
David's dad's
house. And then Greg gets a sword off the wall. And it's like, that's my dad's sword. And then Greg does this really cool thing where he slices off the top of the champagne bottle with the sword.
That he learned during his time on The Hobbit.
I mean, maybe.
Did he do that move on The Hobbit?
No, but he practiced with a sword a lot in The Hobbit, so he learned how to do that.
That's true.
Of course.
When do we...
He said that in an interview or something, so that's fact. Google it.
Challenge me. When does it get mentioned that Greg is a vet or soldier boy and spent time... They say he spent time in Iraq or something like that?
No, that's...
They say that, but it's...
They say some...
when he's not around.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember when that came up. But basically, somewhere in the movie, they allude to the fact that Greg is a vet. And so we're all... And if you look at his physique and whatnot, we're led to...
And you will look at his physique.
We're led to believe that Greg is a person that nobody there knows other than what's Alice, right? And he's potentially ex-military. So when shit starts to go down, we're also...
he's a sussy
We're
baka.
looking at Greg. And then we...
I was looking at Greg the whole time.
We're seeing tension between David and Greg because David's not happy that Greg took the sword off his wall, and it seems like he's kind of also a little jealous of Greg.
I would say he's intimidated by Greg because he's like saying how he's not even that good looking. I think like an older mom would like him, but like, come on, look at me.
I look like I fuck. And then,
I look like I fuck.
And then, little Pete Davidson,
It does that tooth thing with his teeth.
Yeah, that wink and nod at the camera. That's all when he has that little sidebar. He takes a sidebar with Sophie. Because him and Sophie are supposed to be, like, tight.
Childhood best friends.
Right, and it turns out they're both the two richest of the group. They're mega rich, and the rest are, doing well. And they have this whole talk, and we find out that Sophie is... drug-free now?
She's drug-free, and she wants David to ask her dad if she can get access back to her trust.
Right, because she was cut off because she had been taken to the hospital multiple times for ODing, which we later find out that the friend group actually ratted her out to her parents because they were, worried about her well-being, allegedly.
So once that conversation happened, I started having a question: is this going to be an Evil Dead situation tied in through to get someone off of drugs? It's going to turn out that Sophie is killing them because she's like some kind of weird 12-step program where you're actually cutting out the negativity that's still in your life so that you don't relapse. Is that where this movie is going? Because while this is all, until we get to them actually playing bodies, I really did not have a sense of what this movie was going to be. Or is this going to be some weird April Fool's Day trick on
I
us?
was thinking April Fool's Day all day long. And to be clear...
Is that a movie?
That is a movie and a remake.
It is.
What's it about?
April Fool's Day, dog. They're just having fun. They're just being fools. We're not going to spoil that one for you. Maybe we'll watch it later.
Because you're referencing a thing I don't know what it is.
And clarify the other reference...
That's okay.
And if I don't know, the other 5 listeners also don't know.
The other 5 listeners don't know a damn thing we're talking about ever, based on the feedback I'm getting. And to clarify, Ryan is talking about the Evil Dead remake in 2013.
I am.
Yeah, not the original.
But
Not the original, the remake, Evil Dead.
no,
So,
I was talking about April
spoil-
Fool's
Daniel.
Day.
Yeah, Daniel, let me give you some spoilers on April Fool's Day. You ready?
Yeah.
Spoilers. It's going to be one of my recommendations if you like this movie.
Okay. I think I know where. Okay, I got you.
Let's see, we cut back to the rest of the group that are hanging out, trying to get to know B. And B...
They're filming TikToks in the kitchen.
They're filming TikToks in the kitchen, doing TikTok dances together. And then B's sitting there chowing down on this delicious-looking chocolate cake. And it turns out it's a weed cake. And B has eaten like so much
a lot
of this weed cake.
She's gotten through at least half that thing, and I think it's Alice who's like, that's got
just
weed
a little bit of weed in it.
A little
bit of weed on.
I'm just letting you know.
You're going to town on it. Just letting you know in case things start to get weird. And I'm guessing this is the first time B has done this. I don't think she ever really changes her personality once she starts getting on the drugs.
She just gets a little looser and a little more relaxed about it, like less closed off. Yeah. And we haven't pointed out that B is not like
she's Russian.
Yeah, she's Russian or some sort of Eastern European.
Do they in the movie? Do they ask her if she's from Moscow?
And she says no, but there's a lot of other places in Russia.
Yeah,
sure. But I took that to mean no. That's the wrong country. You fucking idiot.
Okay, that could be true too.
Maybe, but I like how they use that as another explanation as why she's a little more standoffish. Because the culture she's from is definitely not this weird party USA culture thing. So it takes her a little bit to kind of blend in.
I've met a lot of...
I'm not saying there's not a party culture over there, but it's different. It's different. Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see it.
This is the one that came over. This is the girl. Look, it's like saying this one girl is going to be representative of wherever she
that's
came
that's
from.
how they all
generally
are.
You don't want to say that.
We're not going to put that pressure on sweet little B.
Yeah, she's got to represent.
We're not going to pull off her little bumblebee wings.
Around here is where they mentioned that there was another character present earlier, Max, but he got in an altercation with David and left.
Yeah, he's the one who punched David in the eye.
Yeah, David says he just punched me in the eyes. And I think it's Sophie's like, why did he punch you in the eyes? He's something like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, because David's never
knows,
David's never at fault. Okay, he's innocent. He doesn't do anything wrong. Would be the impression we're getting off of him. That's what he thinks.
He sucked. I wrote down he sucked.
He does suck.
I have a question about as they're talking about Max because I don't remember. Do they ever refer to Max as a he, or do they only just say Max?
Let me look up.
I don't remember them referring to Max as a he. So as we got further into the movie, I started to suspect that a twist in this was going to be Max is a her.
I feel like they did, because I wouldn't have assumed gender on Max after watching Stranger Things.
Oh, he admitted he watched Stranger Things. Secret's out, buddy.
Yeah.
My notes around here, I'm assuming Max is a man.
I assumed it too, and then at some point I'm like, wait, am I making an assumption?
Right.
Maybe.
I mean, and
I think I am making an assumption. Maybe that's a missed opportunity in this movie.
Maybe.
this movie wants you to make a lot of assumptions.
And I did.
Yes.
I had my notes around here were kind of like the movie was starting to pick up to where we're going to see what it was. My notes at this point were like there seems to be a lot of jealousy in this house, after the Max talk, like Max punched him in the face, and I was like, it's another one of those, like, are they friends situations that we had at a previous movie we watched? Like,
because you also had Jordan approaching B in the hallway, getting super close to her and telling her to be careful with Sophie.
Yes, be careful with Sophie. Just be careful with her.
As I talk into your mouth with my mouth.
It was really close. Real close talking.
Be careful with Sophie. Just be careful with her. Hey. We get back together, all this weird thing where we're setting up, there's a lot of tension. This Max person will show up at some point and is involved. And, well, I was half right.
I thought it was going to be him coming back and killing everyone because he was upset.
So I thought that was too on the nose for him to be the killer. I thought maybe he could be, if it was going to be Max, he was going to be working with someone, was kind of my thoughts. And when they get to the part where they decide they're gonna play bodies, it was Sophie who suggested it, right?
Okay, see, that was another thought I had. I don't know if she did.
I think so.
Okay, so then I was sus,
Sophie
like,
suggested
so she's suggesting this party so that she has a cover to actually go around and start killing
exactly
people.
That's my thoughts. I said,
or the game.
Yeah, she suggested it, so she's the murderer.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of times leading up to this where everyone is using some kind of drug, but we clear her seeing no and not doing it.
Yeah, she's clean and sober, yeah.
And that's where are you cutting out the negative elements? That's where my mind started to go, okay.
That would have been a fun movie too. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and then they just started slapping each other's faces. I'm like, this is the weirdest game of slaps mafia I've ever seen.
At first I was like, I want to play fun murder party games, and they started slapping each other, and I said, I don't want to do the slap game. Don't do a slap.
I would cry.
Oh, God, I would cry so hard.
You slap, and then you take a shot of vodka.
Yeah, and then they're taking turns slapping each other, and as we discussed, B, won't actually slap.
So, yeah, it's B.
David.
Okay, so here's why you start paying attention and going back around after B. Because B is the one
throat of a snake
who doesn't follow the rules. Okay, she doesn't give a full-on slap. She gives David a little pat, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give him you owe me money. Where's my money at? Kapow.
I mean, I don't want to continue shitting on your thing, but there were slaps before B didn't follow the rules.
Exactly, and
that's why you have to start counting at B.
I mean, whatever you got to do to make your narrative work there, Charlie.
If you do it, it works. It works perfectly. I wrote it down.
Well, if you wrote it down, then
if you start with B slapping and and this is the order if everyone dies. It's David, Greg, Emma, Alice, Jordan.
So then here's what we do. We just do a little edit, and that's how the scene starts.
Yeah, I would have preferred it to have started differently, so it was more clear. Yeah. I would have preferred it to be Sophie slaps Alice, Alice dies
then your
first.
theory works.
Alice slaps Jordan, then it's more clear to people with your minds that my theory works.
Actual functioning minds.
Yeah.
My take.
What'd you think? I mean.
Oh God. The only real takeaway I got from the slap game was B is not a violent person without any real reason to be. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to hurt him. But I was wrong about that. She was willing to do a hurt later.
No, but she had a reason.
This is true. And then it further amplified the tension between David and Greg when David's like, no, you got to slap me, and turns around and punches Greg right in the fucking face.
Oh, man.
And everyone's like, whoa, David, why would you do that? What is wrong with you?
And Greg has to get up and walk away.
Yeah, Greg.
And he's clenching his fist, all Arthur meme style.
Yeah. And so then, Greg's gone. So then someone takes Greg's turn to slap someone else, and it's a whole thing of just awkwardness after that. They keep making things awkward, and that makes me feel uncomfortable.
So an interesting thing this movie did is they don't show them drawing the pieces of paper out to see who gets the murderer.
Right.
That was my entire thought.
That's very interesting. Mm-hmm. You're right. That is a good choice they made.
Okay, does someone want to...
So we don't know... We don't know. Yeah, so it's Mafia. If you've ever played Mafia or Werewolf or any variation.
Right. Does someone want to explain the basic premise?
It's Among Us.
You pull a piece of paper out. It's going to say murderer, or I think it says nothing.
And if you have one with X,
scatters like spiders.
If you get the one with the X on it, you're the murderer.
Right. You turn the lights out. If someone pats you on the back, you have to lay down and be dead. And as soon as someone stumbles across someone laying down and being dead, they have to shout out bodies, bodies, bodies. And then you turn the lights back on.
Later on, Greg is hit from the back.
I mean, that's a good point. Okay, so we start playing, lights go out.
When the lights are out, this movie has fantastic lighting because it's super dark. And
It is.
other movies would be like, quote unquote, pretend dark, where the characters are pretending it's dark, but you, the viewer, can actually see what's going on. Whereas this one,
Oh, so some like really bad day for night stuff.
yeah, but this one, it's legit dark and you can't see shit.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Someone yells, bodies, bodies, bodies. Who do we find?
My boy Greg.
As the camera is moving in on the body, I see what I thought was a mistake.
Uh-huh.
I saw his chest move up a little bit and then go back down. Like
Oh.
he took a small breath.
Well, knowing my boy Lee Pace, well, actually, maybe that is a mistake because he's supposed to have very good lungs.
He's got very good lungs.
As they try to like shake him,
Right.
he's not moving.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, is he dead?
That was like a double fake out, yeah.
Yeah, my exact notes on that scene were, oh no, sweet baby boy, because I thought he was dead in the game. And then he's not reacting. And I'm like, double, oh no, he's actually dead. And then, what was it? Did David is like, no, you got to do this. It works every time. And just like pats him in the nuts.
With a beer bottle. Cold beer on the nuts, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, never mind.
And he doesn't hit him in the nuts, but he does just press it against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he springs to life. And
Good restraint, David.
yeah, and I'm like, oh, so they got me there. I thought Greg was dead.
Yeah, but then we get another moment of David getting all in Greg's face again, and I'm just wondering, like,
You know, best defense is an offense.
but
What does that mean?
No, this is a teaching moment. We're gonna stick on this for a good 5 minutes, so everyone just
Oh my
hates
god,
you,
it was
David.
so the best defense is a good offense, and they do that like four times.
In sports, best defense is a good
But what does
offense.
that mean?
What does that
Explain
mean?
it to me.
You're fucking with me.
No, if you had to explain it, no.
You're fucking with me.
When Greg came over and got in his face, I thought that Greg was just gonna kiss him.
I would have liked that.
Yeah, like diffuse the situation.
Or get him to swing on him and then just break his fucking neck.
Because Greg's a good foot taller than him.
Greg fucks.
Yeah. So Greg's dead, and then they have to, Among Us, Mafia, Werewolf, they have to do, the town has to come together.
They come
and take a
together
vote.
and vote, yes.
To be clear, Greg's dead in the game, not
In the game. He's not dead yet.
In the game. Yeah, he tries to talk, and they say, you're dead, you cannot talk.
Yeah, because they're going around trying to accuse each other. Secrets start coming out, I think. David calls out Emma's tells or something like that. Like, they're all calling each other out, like, oh, you do this every time we play, da-da-da, you're the killer.
But then it gets like a little too personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, are you friends? And then Greg's like, I think I better just call it a
Put
night.
myself to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. So Greg's going to bed. So Greg is now gone to bed. And then we start slapping each other again?
No,
No,
we gotta have
they vote David out.
Oh, that's right. It's like,
They vote David out.
I fucking hate this game.
But, I mean, before that, oh yeah, and he smashes glass.
Yeah,
and vases up on a shelf because he's so angry. And we get out of this that I think it's Alice is talking about Emma and David's sex life. How Emma is saying they're not having it and it's not.
Oh
real
yeah,
great,
and
stuff
David's like, you're
that.
talking about us?
And David's telling Emma like just to shut up, and she says, "You're gaslighting me." She's like, "Shut
That's
up."
not.
He's like, that's not
It's
even a
fucking dumb-
thing.
And then he proceeds to gaslight her.
He proceeds the gaslighter, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bullshit word.
It's so overused. What does it even
Yeah,
fucking
everything
mean?
you learn is on the
Bullshit
internet.
word. So it's so fucking dumb. I can see what the sense of humor in the movie is going to be.
That is where it reveals the sense of humor, yes. And then
Yeah,
much
and I'm like,
later,
oh,
it
man.
just turns that knob.
Turn that knob. We're gonna need some couples therapy. Oh man.
Yeah.
You're the worst cokehead player in this game,
I felt
David.
so awkward so many times in this movie. Before the murder started happening, I was so uncomfortable. When people started actually dying, I was in my element. But before, I'm fine. Kill each other. That's great. Just don't make me uncomfortable. Let's not talk about our feelings.
Okay, second reason I thought Sophie was going to be the killer in this movie. So we get the second round of the game. Emma slaps B, and then B gives a legit slap to Sophie, like knocks her back, and once that happens, the lights go out.
Yes, the hurricane killed the power.
The imposter sabotages the lights.
Yeah, so I was wondering if that was meant to be like a transition for the Sophie character. Oh, she just got her bell rung, and now the lights have gone off, and now we're switching into like kill.
Right,
mode.
which
Interesting.
Something
did
like
David take off to?
But I was completely wrong. That's not what was happening. David
Yeah,
left.
David.
Yes.
So Greg and David are both not like in the movie right now. So anything,
No male characters.
right? So anything that's happening is either we're led to believe it's either Greg, David, Or Max.
Or
Or the hurricane.
Or the hurricane.
Or nothing could be happening.
Yeah, it was the hurricane.
The hurricane's the real murderer.
Right?
So I think it's here where the camera lingers on a shot of a dog door and a dog bowl and a dog
Yes.
bone.
You never...
Now,
Yes.
I did not
Yes.
clock the dog door. What I clocked was the dog bone, and I'm like, is there a dog somewhere?
There was never a dog.
But this was the wrong thing for me to clock.
Never, ever a dog. But it's important because
The dog door is what you're supposed to be
Right,
looking
but where's the dog?
Where's the dog, Daniel?
Unless...
I assume the owners of the house left with the dog, because you don't want your dog to be stuck in shitty hurricane, right?
Stuck with a bunch of coke heads.
Yeah.
through the
I would
windshield.
take my dog
understand.
too.
Unless...
They're gonna be blowing coke in its nose.
Blowing
and all
coke
that.
up its
just
ass.
gonna be-
You don't want that.
It's gonna be terrible.
Unless...
I was also wondering, did the murderer kill the dog, and we're gonna find dead dog later?
I did think that as well, yes.
Unless Kenny.
Unless the dog was the murderer.
So, we know someone's able to easily crawl through that big-ass doggy door later. What if it's a goblin door?
Not a dog at all.
Not a dog.
Interesting.
Not a dog
That's
at
a
all.
goblin
I'm
door.
surprised I didn't have this thought.
Or, unless...
Croc door.
Mutant baby door.
I feel like
Not a
these
door-
theories are directed at
Now-
me.
Not a door at all, but a snake tunnel.
I was gonna say, now when a character goes through the doggy door, it's like she was entering through the snake tunnel. Yes.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for your very high art take on this at some point. I live for that. I can't wait.
I think you're going to have to wait.
You're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, so yeah, we showed the dog door, and my only thought was, yeah, where's the damn dog? And yeah, I mean, it makes
Where's the
sense.
dog?
The owners could have taken it, or they're mega rich. They probably have 20 different houses, all with dog doors. Dog's probably with them somewhere else.
That is you just said the exact same thought twice, but in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Choose your own adventure. Pick one sounds better and cut the other one. So they're playing the second round of the game. B is downstairs somewhere. And then we see... Do we hear the noise first before we see David? Or do we see David?
You see him walking up to it, up to the
We see him-
door.
Okay.
Or I guess
So he walks
window.
up to the door and
He's
hits
outside.
it, and there's like blood. Yeah, he's
In the
outside
hurricane,
window.
like in the rain, yeah.
It's raining outside. Hits it. Blood hits on the window. He kind of stumbles back, and then he hits it again. Like I'm like, are you a zombie now? This is what shamblers do. But okay. But then he falls backwards. All the character. Who runs out first? I think it's Sophie.
So B screams, but she is not the first person to run out.
Yeah, and
Right.
who was the last one there? Because that gets brought up later.
I think the last one was Jordan.
Jordan.
Yeah, they're calling each other out.
feel.
They're like, you're the last one there, so I think maybe you did it.
Again, if you have played Mafia or any of these types of games, this is the kind of bullshit that you're just yelling reasons for yelling accusations at each other that tell you nothing, but you're just looking at reactions from the other people to try to make yourself feel better. Oh, their eye twitch. Therefore it must be them.
Here is where I start looking at the amount of blood on everyone.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had seen blood on a character in this scene when they shouldn't have had blood on them yet, but then on a rewatch it was correct. Obviously.
You were looking for blood. I was, at best I could, looking to see how wet everyone was once I
We've
initially
all
saw
been
them.
there.
And I'm like, oh my God, David's throat has been cut. My next thought after that I wrote down was, he cut himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I wrote it
I
down.
can't read that.
So, at this
I'm
point,
sorry.
I'm
I'm like, throat's cut. I'm like, this coked out douchebag, did he cut himself?
I didn't say that yet. It took me a second longer. I was just more excited that I was like, I knew he was gonna die. I called it. He always dies. And I'm thinking, like, I think he's only ever died in, like, one other movie.
He's a long way to go from Sean Bean.
Yeah. And then I said, I like this music.
I didn't call this out earlier, but there was a cool shirt. B is wearing a cool shirt.
What is she wearing?
I don't know. But it looks like David Bowie, but I don't know. But it is a cool shirt.
Our notes are not very descriptive. So we're all freaking out.
Or written down in some cases, but that's
So we're all
okay.
freaking out. David's dead. Throat is cut out in the rain. Someone killed him.
I'm not freaking out. I'm
Yeah.
celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad he's dead.
He sucked.
Everyone's like, oh, you know what? Him and Greg, they didn't like each other, and Greg's been missing.
Well, before we get to that, they do try to go to the car.
They try to get help, and they go to the car. There's
Battery's dead.
Battery's dead, and there's a tree down on the car.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, would the lights on the little makeup mirror, would that be enough to drain the battery that quickly?
Depends on the car.
Also, would the horn work if the battery was drained?
Yes? No.
I haven't owned a car in 10 years. I don't know anymore what fancy things you guys have.
Because the horn worked.
I think the horn...
If it was an older car, it'd be mechanical, but I think it is just an electric switch, like a pressure switch.
So
one of our 5 listeners, what's up with cars?
I don't know.
Plot hole. It's not really plot, but...
I'm just saying.
And then also with the window, why did they lock the car?
Look, it's instinct. Like, even when I go to my parents' house in the middle of the country, when I hop out the car to go inside, I lock the damn door. It's just habit, muscle memory.
Also, when they're running to the car, the character who gets in the driver's seat, I don't remember which one it is, but they bring up, does she even have a license? Like, they're worried about that.
And this is the movie's sense of humor.
Yes.
Right, again.
We're worried about all the wrong things.
Exact. That is the movie. You're worried about all the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
The car doesn't work. Busted. They have to go back.
They go back inside, and then
Max's name is brought up again, and this is the 3rd time Max is mentioned.
Yes, and then Jordan comes back
in. Had
in.
a car and took it.
Jordan comes in with the sword that she found outside.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we find out that the reason Max left is because he, probably under the influence, said that he was in love with Emma, and that caused a fight between him and David. That's where David got punched and looking like a raccoon, and then Max took off.
So then you're introduced to... So then they're like, Max, that's a suspect.
Max is violent-ish.
But then they're like, wait a minute. Where's Greg? Another suspect.
Where's Greg?
We should go wake Greg up. And then I got another suspect because Alice did not want them to go wake Greg up.
Yeah, I put down, why is she so quick?
I think you should wake him up.
Yeah, why is she so quick not to check on Greg?
Well, why are you escalating, holding a knife and moving your hands when you talk?
I'm guessing Alice said this. I don't remember what this note was about, but I snorted when she said, like, long. But I don't remember what it was about, but I think it was just her delivery of the line or something.
We've been together a long time. Like, long.
Oh, yeah. How
long is long?
How long is long? Long. Do you know his middle name, his last name? 2 weeks is too soon for a middle name. That's something you learn much later on.
That's what it was. That's why I was dying. Okay.
She goes talking about, like, her astrological sign, and that's what she's, like, really basing all this on, and...
Oh, she's a podcaster too. That's important.
Oh, we didn't mention that. Yeah, she is the podcaster.
Oh yes, and she's the what's the name of her pod? It's like your smartest, most talented friend or something like that.
Conversations with your smartest, most talented friend.
And like she snorts.
Yes.
Like so, they snort at the name because clearly they think she.
And I will. Whoever edits this needs to put in her little monologue about how hard it is.
First of all, a podcast takes a lot of work. Okay? You have to organize the guests, you have to do a Google Calendar, and you build a following. It takes a long fucking time.
Lady, you're leaving out the post-processing and editing, like the hardest bits of it.
No, I think for us the hardest bit is the scheduling.
I think it's the content, but
well,
to each their own.
If you don't care about the content, then you're good.
That's true.
She probably pays someone for that.
So it's revealed that she's only known Greg for 2 weeks.
Yes.
I think it's just getting over the fact that we're all idiots.
Yeah, I said Greg is a red herring.
That's pretty tough.
And then I also thought that because they were bringing out Max, I thought they were going to
find
his
I put down
there.
like it's too much pointing towards Greg too early
dead.
in the movie. So I put I said biggest red herring ever.
Drugs. But Sophie still is not, because I made a note because her and David were like besties, like to elementary school.
And then we did more drugs.
And now he's dead, but she's still not. She didn't reach.
Yes, Sophie's still sober.
This is another point for my cutting the negativity out.
I would do a sword champagne trick.
And again, I like that. I like that movie. I still like what they did better, but I would still watch
make
your
you
movie.
Use your feet.
I'd take my shirt off for your movie.
Yeah, they go to check on Greg, and he's not there.
He's not there.
We know how that'd work out for you.
Okay, there's no one in that room, right?
Guess who's not in the bedroom, guys?
There's no Greg, but there is 3 lines of Coke right on a dresser.
And they go through his luggage, and they find sussy stuff. They find like knives, a map with the location of the house circled. He's got a go bag, and I didn't think that was suspicious because they said he had packed for the hurricane.
Yeah, and he was a vet. Yeah. Also on the coke though, the only two people we ever see do coke is earlier in the movie when is it David and Alice kind of like go off.
I think that might have been them not wanting to say in front of Sophie, "Hey, we're gonna go do coke," because she is supposed to be in rehab.
Well, yeah, but it's like I need you like for the thing. And they go off into another room to do coke without everyone else.
They do so many other drugs in front of her. So I'll turn it to Daniel.
But I don't think they care.
I think it's David just trying to get into Greg's head that I can pull your girlfriend away from you for a reason you don't know to go do something that I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Okay, absolutely. Sure. David sucks. He should kill himself.
A juggler. He is not.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they go to... Okay, then they go into Jordan's room, and then they find, because colors matter, in the darkness, they find this bright yellow, B finds this bright yellow bra.
Hey, we find Greg.
Ooh, we find him in this gymnasium, and I wrote down Suspiria lighting.
Okay.
Yeah, he's wearing this freaky deaky mask.
It helps with depression, okay?
He has seasonal depression.
No, I wrote down what the fuck is on his face, and who can sleep on a hard floor like that.
And then they go Lord of the Flies on him for no reason.
He has no idea what's going on. He's like, "Are you guys still playing werewolf?"
Yeah, they surround his ass, and he's confused. Like, is this still part of the game? Or you're like, "You're fucking with me." Yeah, he says he calls it werewolf. He doesn't even call it their game. Yeah, he is older, and it's like, "You guys are fucking with me again." Like, just laughing. They weren't. Fucking
no,
with
but he does realize it because he manages to smack whoever had the knife, maybe it was Jordan, smack her hand to get the knife away from her so he could have the knife. And then they play the game of, all right, you put your weapon down, I'll put my weapon down. And he does it, but then Emma jumps on him, and then it's a whole thing.
They all look like children next to him because of how big he is.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he
and like, look,
could have destroyed them all.
Greg's a vet,
but he got the rogue of the group snuck attack him.
He's a big dude.
Snuck attack him.
Oh, my sweet bee.
Even when he throws the girl off of his back and she like hits the wall, he's like, "Oh, are you? I'm sorry. Are you okay?"
Yeah. So he's distracted. He's having to deal with like all 4 or 5 of them like coming at him from every side, and he's just like, "What are you like? Stop!" And then yeah, and he's facing away, and then all of a sudden B comes from the back rows with a little weight and just clubs him in the back of the skull
with a kettlebell. Which to hit him that hard with that, she'd have to be pretty strong.
Look, adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
She does that, and she double taps him.
Bashes him right in the... She didn't go to just, didn't go to just clip him or wing him. No, she...
He crumples, he hits the ground, and then she goes in for the finishing blow.
She hit him right in the side of the head, or the back of the head.
That's where I write down, it's B. She's the killer. Because she is, literally.
That moment made me think of a Hunter S. Thompson quote where it's, you can turn your back on a person, but never ever turn your back on a drug.
That's deep.
You think that's what he meant?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Someone who's on drugs, don't ever turn your back on them. Like, a person you can walk away from. A drug is going to hit you in the back of the head with a kettlebell.
Okay, I like that interpretation. So I'll allow it.
Well,
it can stand.
At this point, Sophie starts snorting, and so my cutting the bad things out of your life theory goes out the window at this point.
Right. I could also see him, though, saying that never turn down drugs. But what I love is they Greg's dead now. They immediately have doubt that Greg was the killer after he's dead.
It's immediate.
Amazing, isn't it?
We don't even know if he did it. And then they're like, well, he of everyone here, he is the most suspicious because he had time in the army. And they're like, wait, what? You said he was a vet.
He's a veterinarian!
Oh.
Assistant!
What? You called him Soldier Boy.
Look at him. He's a specimen.
He is. And this is where Alice has the same idea I did, where she says, guys, it's the game. It's the game. But then they're like, wait, but no. Whoever the killer in the game is the killer. I'm like,
whoever's the killer in the game.
No. That's not what she was saying. You guys misunderstood her. And then communication problems.
So many communication problems. And they end up...
Go change your shirt, B.
That was their concern, because B throws up on herself after seeing what she's done.
Yeah.
And they're like, go change your shirt. That's gross.
Yeah, but when she comes back, they're like, why are you wearing that? What did you do to your face?
Why are you so mean?
And at the beginning of the movie, before she goes and meets these terrible, terrible people, she sits with the visor down, the mirror visor, and she fixes herself up with some makeup and tells herself, like, you're in, you got this, something like that.
I think she says time to play the game, actually.
Oh, does she?
Something like that, yeah.
Cool. But then, so she goes and changes her clothes into someone else's, I guess, the lady of the house's wardrobe, and then puts on some more makeup.
I don't think it actually showed her putting on makeup, though.
I can't recall.
But she might have just, like, wiped blood off of her face, and compared to everyone else who's all jacked up.
That's true.
She gets cleaned up. That gives the other group more time to discuss how much they're fucking this up. And now the person who killed Greg, B, is now our primary suspect.
Because clearly she's already shown herself to be a murderer.
And we don't know anything about her.
Yeah. And what we do know about her is a lie.
I mean, you've only known her.
She supposedly graduated from Utah State or something like that. But there's no record of her.
But there's no record of her graduating.
They looked it up. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a lie. And she just, she didn't want Sophie to not like her. Didn't want her to judge her. Because she had to go take care of her mother or something like that.
She explains it later when she gets back in the house. And they have their little...
Yeah, so they lock Sophie out of the house.
They throw the imposter out.
They lock...
Yes.
Yeah, they lock B outside the house. And my thoughts were... They could have locked her in a room inside. But this is the group that did immediately decide to kill Greg.
Yeah, they could have also not killed Greg.
You don't want to be a... Yeah, so it's like, you don't want to be a suspect early on in this house, because it's not going to be good. And this is also when I noticed that, was it B or Sophie was wearing the things on her wrists, which I was assuming was covering cut scars. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming she was also in rehab, and that's how she met Sophie. But did they ever pay that off or anything?
No.
I don't recall. Okay, but that was kind of my thoughts there. I guess nothing came about with that. Yeah, B is locked outside. Sophie doesn't stand up for B at all, which is important because it's like, well, I thought you had my back, now you don't. Now we're all
I killed Greg
here.
For you.
Yeah, I did a murder.
So she goes to the car.
Goes to the car
for shelter. I'm like, smart thing.
Right.
You get the payoff with the window.
Pay off with the window.
Pay off the window. She slides it.
And then as she's looking through for stuff to eat, she finds
yellow panties.
Yellow underwear.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point, I'm like,
that's right.
I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I really assume Max was a guy.
See, I didn't clock the bra earlier, so these panties were just out of nowhere for me, so I didn't know what was happening.
I was just like, are we sniffing?
She did sniff it.
Don't
know. Why are you doing that?
Jordan said the bra was hers. So why would the matching underwear be in the car? Unless, in my head, I'm thinking, because it's not hers. It's Max's.
Mm-hmm.
But
later on, I had another thought, because I don't know if we should go into it now, because Jordan plants the seed that she's been fucking Sophie.
Yes.
So
later on, yes.
I was wondering if she put the panties in the car when they all ran into the car earlier.
I think Sophie absolutely called Jordan up to have sex, and Jordan went up and had sex with her in the car.
Yeah, that's kind of... they say that they hooked up before Sophie picked up B.
And that's how those yellow underwear got in the car.
She kept the underwear for some stupid fucking
Otherwise,
reason.
there'd be no reason why Sophie wouldn't let B see the message history on her phone.
It's a privacy thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a trust thing.
They definitely hooked up.
Yeah, but
B should have said she loved her back.
I just hit a vet in the back of the head with a kettlebell.
Yeah, okay.
Show me the phone. Come on.
Look, I'll do it again.
Oh, you're gonna find out I'm into equestrian porn.
And then B's trying to find a way back into the house. It's storming out. She's looking through the window. She sees the outline of someone in the kitchen finding a gun.
Yes. Well, we don't know it's Jordan.
Well, we don't know it's Jordan yet.
Maybe my resolution is different, but I knew it was Jordan. Like the lighting.
Oh.
Okay, maybe my brightness.
I couldn't tell who it was.
I could tell that it was Jordan.
Daniel knew.
You guys really didn't know?
Then we go back and she...
No.
Nah, man.
No.
Weird.
Don't even... Look at this guy
I
shaming
just
us.
thought it was super... I thought you were supposed to know.
No. I thought it was supposed to be a mystery, because when she denies it really hard,
right, so
that's when I started thinking, oh shit, is it Max?
My thought was like, we see the headlamp on her. I was like, who else has that headlamp?
So then my read on that whole scene is different because I thought it was supposed to be obvious.
Because, okay, so B finds her way back inside.
Goes to the dog door.
The doggy door.
Through the dog, through
and
the
again,
snake
I'm like,
tunnel.
where's the dog? She gets back in there. And they're like, how the fuck do you get back in here? They're like, you're the killer, da-da-da-da. And I've got notes here. Apparently, we're all yelling at Alice. Like, shut up, Alice. And I'm just like, poor Alice. I was like, she's an ally.
The ally conversation. Oh, my God.
Oh, this is where, in this movie, I out loud started laughing.
Yes.
Like, Sophie's calling them out for, like, doing drugs in front of a drug addict and saying, just saying, it's all fine for you guys to be calling, me out, the black girl who has a coke problem. It's a problem. But when the white male does it, it's all good.
Look, I hear you. I'm an ally.
And I'll be like, oh, yeah, Jordan, she hate listens to your podcast, Alice. She hate listens to it.
Oh my God, it was so good.
I listen to podcasts. You listen to podcasts. Do you guys listen to any podcasts just because you hate it?
This one.
I mean, well, yes. Okay.
Just because I hate it.
Ha! You got
No.
Touche, you got me.
No.
Yeah. Just to hate on it. I'm like, no.
I don't really do any
hate
hate
dog
things,
on
though.
her.
Like, I don't hate watch something. I don't hate listen. Because eventually, if you hate listen to something long enough, you'll eventually like it, as like what happened.
It comes back around.
Yeah, it swung around hard, like me with Rebecca Black and Friday.
Yesterday was Thursday. Tomorrow will be Saturday.
Ryan, you're gonna like my note here.
Oh, do tell.
So it's during this dialogue that I decided, like, two things. Either A, I hope it's just a stranger killing them. Like, that would be perfect.
Okay.
B, it's an April Fool's Day situation, and it's a prank gone wrong.
April Fool's Day reference we all recognize.
Yeah, and David faked his death, and everything went off the rails.
Yes, that's what that was. I was with you on that, yeah.
And then I said, David probably tripped, and then they all killed each other or had accidents around the house.
Which they do.
That's where
later. That's what that happens later. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had that thought in the middle of that, and then we're still dogging on each other, and I'm like, Alice is kind of just going along for the ride, and again, I'm like, are we friends? And then they mentioned the name of Alice's podcast, and Sophie groaned both times. Like she couldn't stop from groaning.
Jordan did. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan.
Eyes like, rolling.
What's
mouth growing.
Yeah, because what's the name of your podcast? Yeah, like you're smart.
I think it's something like hanging out with
conversations with your
smartest, most talented friends.
Did you just groan?
No.
At the time, hanging out with your soda. No. Says it again. You did it again. I'm like, and then I was like, she's gonna shoot Alice. And then they call in like, you guys are super rich, but you're only upper middle class.
Upper middle class.
And then that.
Oh God.
So at that point, she has the gun out,
that
right?
That gets her so mad.
So before that, we get the clue moment of empty your pockets.
Yes.
And there's nothing in her pockets. Yeah.
B gets back into the house at this point, has a more of a heart-to-heart where Sophie explains, look, my mom was sick. She's borderline personality, I think that's what they said.
She says borderline.
She says borderline. So that's why she had to leave school and the job that she had at the mall.
At Checky's Game Hut.
The Game Hut. I'm sorry, Checky's. They folded. And so Sophie has just been driving her to the mall, and B's just been hanging out because she didn't want to disappoint Sophie.
And that's after a week. You don't want to disappoint someone after a week of dating?
Well, you see them kissing? They look pretty good.
Okay, guy. Easy. You
guys never faked employment to get a little smooching? Never had to do that?
I don't think I opened.
I
did not open the floor to horny comments
at the Shake Shack.
The floor is shut.
All I thought Daniel was gonna be. I thought Daniel was gonna be the thirstiest one watching this movie, but maybe
it was not me. No. Well, actually, my lust figure's gone. He's gone from the movie. So.
Not forgotten.
Yeah.
Someone does a
Jordan shoots Alice right in the leg.
Right in the leg. I thought it was going to be a kill shot.
Before that, she's kind of waving the gun around, and if you notice her finger, she has excellent trigger discipline.
Oh, on the side?
On the side.
Not on the trigger?
Not on the trigger. At no point is it ever on the trigger.
That's okay, that's not a character thing. That's a gun safety handler telling her you keep your finger off the damn trigger at all times.
You don't think it's a character thing?
No.
Because again, that changes my read on shit.
I think that's a...
Also,
the
they say,
prop
like,
master
why...
explicitly told her, do not put... Even though it's not loaded, never put your finger on that trigger.
That was kind of my take, because we didn't get anything coming back saying that she had any, like, gun expertise.
I'm choosing to believe it's a character thing.
Okay, I actually have a question. When did this movie get made in relation to
Alec
the
Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin
It would have been before, right?
This movie got made before then?
It would have been before.
Okay.
Probably around the same time, honestly.
I'm just, so if it's, I mean, we'd have to check it, but if it was around the same time, then you bet your ass that finger's never going on that trigger.
Because the reading it led to me
fair.
having was that she doesn't want to shoot anyone.
Right. They talk about why there's even a gun there. Like, why do you even have a gun? And it's like, all rich people have guns.
They do. But earlier in the movie, they were
Yeah.
asking, like, did David have a gun in the house? And they're like, no, his politics check out.
His politics check
out. His politics check out. What does that mean?
Means he's a white, upper class, liberal person. He doesn't have a gun.
He doesn't have, I'm like...
Would never have a gun.
Like, oh, really? Okay. You're out in the sticks. You don't have a shotgun? Are you kidding me?
He's got a sword.
He had the sword.
Yeah. He doesn't have... You know what? Guns, too low class. Get yourself a sword. That's... there. Yeah. I understand now.
Yeah. They're panicking now after shooting her in the leg. Did you shoot her? No.
No.
So at that point I'm thinking like maybe it's one of those things where the gunshot goes off, but it's not the person who
I
thought
legit thought B
shot.
had another gun and shot her.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
I did.
So yeah,
I thought Jordan was
but
just...
no.
Like the disbelief.
But that's because...
Did you shoot me?
That's
She said,
because I noticed
no.
the
And then she
finger
immediately
discipline.
says, you murdered them all, you freak.
It really fucking hurts. Don't hit me. You already shot me.
And then as they're struggling with the gun, he's like, you're on my leg, my gun wound.
It's all fun.
Don't hit me, you already shot me.
Until Jordan shoots Alice in the neck.
See,
and I
because of the finger discipline, I don't think it was her that shot her.
Oh, you think someone...
Yeah, but you're fighting for the gun there. I mean, Alice might have shot herself.
That, or could have been anybody.
But end of the night, Jordan's the one holding the gun.
Mm-hmm, that is true.
When the tussle is finished. So I agree with you, though. Someone else could have gotten their hand in there. Probably they did. Let's say all of them did it.
Or they kind of all did do it.
Yeah.
Kind of all did do it.
And then...
And they,
then Sophie's following
go on.
Jordan up the stairs, and Jordan's
Like,
still waving the
like,
gun at
but-
her, just telling her to back. Stop walking towards me.
Stop walking towards me.
yeah, like, get away from her.
Because she doesn't want to shoot anyone.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, they're all like, there's 3 people left, right?
Sophie, B, and Jordan.
Yes.
They all think that they're not the killer. So the odds of one of the other 2 being the killer are very high at this point. And so they're all just super paranoid. None of them should be together. You should all go your own separate ways. They have another little struggle, right?
B comes out of nowhere, tackles her.
So
from the
Daniel,
top ropes.
Before that happened, who did you think was going to die next?
Jordan.
Who did you think was going to end up killing Jordan? I thought it was going to be Sophie.
I thought B would. Because I thought B was the
B?
killer. And at this point, she'd mask off.
No, at this point, I doubled down on my David probably tripped and then they killed all each other or had accidents around the house. I said it
See,
again.
I wish I had that thought, but I didn't even have that
Well,
thought.
at that point, they're so paranoid and they're bringing up everyone's like dirt. And they all could hate each other. And I'm like, I was like, no, this is one of those movies where this is like we tore each other apart for no reason.
We forgot to talk about Emma's death.
Sophie gives her a pill, something,
Yes.
a drug, and then later we find
If you
her
will.
bloodied at the bottom of a stairwell.
And
Yeah.
B finds her, and then Jordan finds her, and then Sophie comes over, and so that's how we're down to 3. And it's at
This is
and Alice,
this is a
and
classic
4. And
staircase situation. That HBO documentary. You guys know about this?
Staircase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing.
I mean, the blood all over. When I saw it and looked at the blood all over the staircase, on the walls of the staircase, I thought, yeah, she fell.
Yep.
Because
She fell.
I don't know in any other whodunit movies like this where we don't see any stalking or we don't see any of the
That is true.
masked killing.
Yeah, and that shot probably should have been
The
a
only
giveaway.
killings we see.
The only killing we see happens on camera. in front of us, and that's with the character,
The gunshot.
the gunshot,
and
and
then,
the weight bell weight.
My sweet boy Greg.
yeah, the kettlebell.
Yeah.
Sweet baby boy. Yeah, so like we don't see any of the just stalking murders actually happen, and that was kind of the thing that was kind of nagging in the back of my head. Okay. I don't think there's a
all
murderer.
the accident deaths happen off camera, and all the intentional ones happen on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. 'Cause
Just
that's how it
to
has be from
reiterate,
what we
you
find
never
out.
see any of the accidents deaths, right?
You just see the aftermath.
You just see the murders.
Yeah.
You do see one on a little video later.
True. That
Also,
yes,
to
at the very
reiterate,
end of
that
the
was
movie.
me making fun of you guys just now.
You didn't do a good job.
I
We
should have
didn't
done a
understand.
/S.
Too highbrow. /S.
I wasn't actually listening to him talk, so I don't know how to be offended.
You're very offended. You won't stand for this if we're ever trapped in a hurricane.
Look, making
you're
a
gonna kill it.
podcast is hard work. You got to get the guests, the scheduling.
You gotta get that Google Calendar. We just now figured out how to do an event, but we didn't use it. It was set up.
Jordan tells B not to trust Sophie.
Well, this happens
At
At
some
the
point
spot
during
after.
that happened earlier in the same spot they're now fighting in.
Oh, nice.
Right, but that's where, because Jordan earlier told B that, hey, check her phone.
Check her text.
Check her
Check her
text.
text.
And then she
Check her
fires
text.
the gun at him a couple times.
Yeah, because she's been pushed off the balcony.
We hooked up.
After she's making
Yeah, she
glass
gets pushed
snow
off and
angels
falls, but she-
on the floor.
She was like,
That's so
she
beautiful.
she could be okay.
Yeah, so now B has more reason not to trust Sophie, because B thinks Sophie slept with Jordan, and she found those panties in the car that were neither one of theirs.
Neither one of there, and you got the link
With the bra earlier.
earlier.
Yeah, so we're further setting up mistrust between the last two characters that are alive, and so they just go their separate ways, right? Until morning.
They have a scaredy moment kind of
Until-
between them.
They
and
hop
then-
in a closet together, and she's like, "Oh, don't touch me. I'm afraid of you."
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
B leaves out.
And then
They hide somewhere.
Sophie kind of like stalks her through the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we make it to the morning, the storm's over, B's walking outside, right? And then Sophie comes out and is like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're, like, alive, like,
Before that happened, she's walking past some of the bodies.
Mhm.
She walks by Emma. She walks by Alice. She walks by Jordan. And when she's walking by Jordan, Jordan no longer has the gun.
I didn't notice that, but you're correct.
I'll take your word on it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she definitely had it because she fired shots
Yeah.
at him, telling him, go text the checks. Bang,
Right.
bang. And so at some point, the gun is now. It's clue.
The gun is missing.
Gun is missing. Gun's gone. Yeah, so we're back in the sunshiny morning, and Sophie's acting like, oh my god, we're alive. This is so great. Da 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 da. And B's like, show me your phone.
Let's see those texts.
Let's see the text. And Sophie will not let her. And I think I wrote down, this is the dumbest, most unnecessary fight over a fucking phone. At this point, you guys have done murders. There's no one else left. Like, you're not leaving this as a couple. I'm sorry. Just show her the phone. And really fighting to not show the phone, just unless you bought her a really nice gift and it's supposed to be a surprise, and if she looks at your phone, she's gonna spoil the surprise.
You're gonna
There's
spoil
no
the
reason
surprise.
not to show phone. So they're fighting. She throws the phone.
Well,
and it's all muddy and stuff from the
while
storm.
they're fighting for the phone, like, they drop the gun, and the gun is like within reaching distance, but they're all focusing on the cell phone.
They only care about the phone.
And that's why I'm like,
And
none of you were the murderer, because if you were, one of you would have went for the gun. So I'm like, this is David killed himself.
right. Well, I talked myself back out of it for a brief second. I go, is David about to do a jigsaw from Saw 1? Is he about to stand up? Like he was just laying out there pretending to be dead during the hurricane.
laid
all
out
night,
there
or
in the
just
rain.
drugged up
It's
and
like-
just passed out.
April Fools, bitches. I'm David. I'm full of coke.
And then they're right, I'm back. So they find the phone after she chucked it, but that's not Sophie's phone.
That's not Sophie's phone. Whose phone is it, Daniel?
It's David's.
It's David's. So they're trying to get on David's phone, and it's got the facial recognition. So yeah, B takes the phone, walks over to David's dead body, opens his eyes, and does the facial recognition to unlock his. Why do we care what's on David's phone?
I think that was more to see if that was his phone. Even though,
Yes.
think in the background, on
Okay.
the like the background screen image, you could see David and Alice. I think.
Possibly, but I think they've been together 6 weeks. She probably knows what her phone's like, but looks like. But I'll allow it. So
But you needed that so that you could get the video.
right, and then right here, I am dying laughing because I'm bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored. And so now we got David outside at night with another bottle of champagne and the sword. And he's swinging the sword back and forth, making a little TikTok video or something while that song's playing. And obviously he was impressed / jealous of when Greg sliced off the top of the champagne bottle. So he's going at it, attempting it back and forth, and the whole time, like at this point, you know what happened.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love this so much. He fucks up.
It's not that he even fucks up. He starts doing it towards himself.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, well, look, he wasn't a Boy Scout, okay?
That's exactly what I thought, Kenny. You cut away.
Right?
Always
He's
cut away.
not a Boy Scout. You always away. He slashes his own throat, and he's just like, he has this look on his face like,
Oh, no.
I fucked up.
I've made a terrible mistake.
I'm like, and I was so happy. That payoff was so good. And then, so now they look at each other. They realize this whole night was a fuck up. We had a big oops.
Big oopsie.
And then who shows up finally?
Max shows up. He's like, what happened?
I liked this movie.
I have another reason for the pool being a metaphor for heavy drug use. As they're fighting over the cell phone, they both fall into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they go under the water, they start relaxing. Their movements are slowing down, and they eventually pull themselves out, look at the phone, and that's when Sophie's like, "That's not my phone." Like very much the tension of the situation is very much diminished after they come back out.
The water sobers them up.
Yeah, after they come out of that druggy pool.
I would say the water purifies them.
Well,
Makes them a pure spirit.
I would say the pool is more like a womb. And when
they've
come back out,
been
they're
rebirthed, and they no longer are
They've been
carrying
reborn.
the toxicity of our city.
The ocean is like a womb.
And B says, "I have reception. Sprinklers."
Max is like, what happened?
So power's back on.
Sorry, Max, you didn't do
I would
it.
say there was only one legit murder.
Legit murder.
One legit murder.
And that's
And that's when
B.
That's when B murdered Greg. The rest are accidents.
The rest are
But B thought it was like defense. But I don't think B's argument would hold up in court.
No.
I mean, what? No, what's the argument? I mean, Greg clearly fell.
He fell twice?
If she hadn't done the second hit,
He fell twice.
he kept falling.
He kept falling.
He just kept falling. How
Look,
embarrassing.
it's very easy to settle. You just say, like, Jordan did it, or Alice did it, or Emma did it. And what are they going to say? I think, you know what? Just burn it all down at this point. Like, I don't know what you do.
The hurricanes
died.
burned the house down. There you go.
Hurricanes are known
there
for
was a
doing
lightning.
that.
Hurricanes do that. But then you got to deal with
Look,
that
just-
Max
They all
guy,
died close
too.
enough.
So, Kenny,
Kill Max.
you've seen this movie before, yeah?
No, this was my first watch.
Oh,
Oh,
cool,
I thought
cool,
you
cool.
were asking if he had watched the movie.
Yeah, no.
So,
as soon as we
okay, so based on what you'd heard about it, you thought we would all like it.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Everyone talked about it being a very fun little horror movie. Like, it was getting a lot of hype. Just looking at the trailer and whatnot, and knowing it had Lee Pace in it, and I knew Daniel would like it. I know you and I have, a special love for whodunits and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew I would like it, and I knew there's no way you wouldn't like it unless they just royally fucked it up.
By the time this movie was over, I knew, like, we were all going to be on board for liking this one.
Oh, as soon as they showed the video, even the video of him killing himself, if any of you had doubts about liking this movie, that was going to bring anyone back around, because the song choice was perfect. Having Pete Davidson play that character was perfect. That's art. Look, that right there, that was art to me. That's
My art is-
That's your,
Lee Pace, shirtless,
Lee Pace with a
with
shirt
a sword.
off. Yeah.
holding your sword. Yeah, I get it. I got it.
Let's wrap this one up. We all loved it?
Yeah.
We all loved it. So here are my quick, if you like this movie, here are my quick recommendations, what you're going to like. You're going to like the TV series Harper's Island.
Yes.
Okay.
You're going to like, if it's still on YouTube, there was a Fox show called Murder in Small Town X. It might still be up there. Check that one out too.
Correct.
You're going to like Identity.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Daniel, throwing you some love for the crew that did Skeleton of Cadavra. You're going to like A Dark and Stormy Night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love A Dark and Stormy Night.
Right?
Jim Beaver.
Well, thanks Ryan for taking a lot of the good ones.
Clue. Murder by Death.
Yes.
Any Agatha Christie, really.
Club Dread. That is a movie. Any sort of whodunit with young people. I
Wait,
mean,
anything with young people?
okay, like
what?
Let's
No.
Young
Like
people.
Magic School
We're
Bus.
talking to you right now, young people. Magic School Bus.
young people, like
Those are young people.
they're real young people. Like Happy Death Day. That has its own particular twist to it, but it's still who's murdering this girl every day. Got to figure that. Like any of those kind of whodunits. I mean, I would even venture to say you could do like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it's close enough. It's not. They don't have like the ridiculous payoff of bodies, but it's still, I don't know, a teen slasher, I guess.
The one thing this movie does that they don't is this one was very, like, there was no stalking, there was no killer having a kill scene, whereas I Know What You Did Last Summer has the stalking scene.
I think
Scream
everything
has the stalking
everything
scenes.
we've listed has stalking scenes.
Yeah, most of
Yeah.
them there is an actual killer. It's
April
you're not,
Fool's Day. Daniel,
April-
I recommend April
April
Fool's
Fool's
Day.
Day.
I feel like you guys have spoiled it.
April Fool's Day is the best 1-to-1 as far as, comparisons go. I like this better than April Fool's Day just because it's fucking hilarious, though. Sorry, OG April Fool's Day fans.
Guys, is this the hurricane the priest in Croc is referring to when he's talking about all those people who die and no one talks about
It's
them?
the
They only
Croc
talk about the people
cinematic
who
universe.
survived.
It's the same one. It's also the same one in Burning Bright when they're trapped inside the house with the tiger during the hurricane.
What a universe this is.
And it's the same one where what's his face? Barry Pepper gets stuck underneath his house and the Crocs get in there and crawl.
This whole podcast is actually a podcast on the Croc cinematic universe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like an anti-hurricane.
I love hurricanes.
Podcast.
We have an
We're not full of hurricanes.
anti-hurricane agenda.
You're not going to rock me like a hurricane.
I'm
I'm going to get a sword, guys. And now for everyone's favorite episode interruption, where I tell you our next episode, which is 2022's to-be original Hellblazers, which is a fun little romp containing some major horror icons that we will be all happily discussing in 2 weeks. And I'd also like to go ahead and a little cross promotion here, shout out friend of the podcast, Justin's podcast, Behind the Blue, which you can check out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, a couple other places. Basically, it's just a fun little behind-the-scenes look at some Midwestern law enforcement. And if you want, if you listen to all his episodes, you can maybe take a shot every time Justin falls down and hurts himself on the job. It's more than once, so that's fun. So, check him out. He supports us. We're trying to support him. He just got, back in the game, so to speak, started back up. Check it out, and be sure to come back and check us out in 2 weeks.
Well, it's about time to hit the old hurricane trail.
Okay, boys and goyles, that's gonna do it for Bodies. As always, I've been your horrible host, who's not the murderer, Kenny.
I'm your favorite Two Fingers, Daniel.
God.
Ew. Ryan says ew.
Goodbye.